legislation, they're trying to avoid voting on. I think that always happens. What about now the revenue, gasoline revenue has dropped? Passed a resolution. The governor of Wisconsin had a resolution, and I believe some others, in which they are calling on the Congress and the President to release impounded funds and to provide it. Increased aid for education. You want to increased aid because nothing I do please someone I am out. And when I get out of Alabama, the same people call me to come. Just like when I was in the primary, instead of the two. I believe that George Wallace would have an excellent chance.
You think that you would have an excellent chance in 1976 if you decided to run?
That's right, but I don't know what I'm going to run. I'm running for governor, and and I'm not trying to be coy or evasive about it.
Was that on the record?
That's on the record, but I'm not.
Emphasizing that you're not saying you're going to run. You haven't made your decision.
No.
But if you wanted to run, your chances would be excellent.
That's right. No, let me ask you. Because I wouldn't decide to run if the chances were excellent. Is it possible that in your administration now, there are people who use the position of state government and harass other people who make profits for themselves and their friends without your knowledge? Well, let me say that first. If it had, it's been, but is that illegal? I don't think it is. My brother Gerald, well, ask him about Oscar's business. He hadn't been in there. All right. Well, ask Taylor Hart. The point is this: when you say somebody gets some business, we're just talking off the record now. Somebody's got to get some business with the state. You can see in one sense, yes, I'm not. I don't. I say that we're going to have to get along with what we have, and I don't foresee my recommendation.
Prayer about as much as anybody been around for a while.
I prayed for that prayer. Has it helped? Has it helped? Yeah, I think all the way to sit here. Praying for the press. You think so? I hope the press prays for me. Well, we knew that. I decided to run. It would be because I thought it was in the best interest of Alabamians to run, and those critics, to the contrary, wouldn't have anything to do with it. I was just making a point. I didn't mean to imply that I'm closer to running in 76 than I was in 70.
But you do feel more confident this year of re-election as governor than you did in 70? Is that right?
Yes, I feel more confident in being elected governor in 1974 than I was in 1970. Yes, sir. We had a very close race in 1970, but I believe that I will win this time, and I'm very appreciative of the reception that I've received throughout the state.
Home and looked ahead. But that has not been our good fortune. And instead of putting our natural resources to work and putting our people to work in good jobs, state government has been used as a power base by the incumbent in search of higher office and greater personal praise. I want an Alabama with first-rate leadership that stays at home and looks ahead and has as its number one concern the safe and prosperous development of our state.
Alabama have been freed from 100 years of bondage to one political party, which has stunted our social, economical, and political life. Just remember that the election is not over this year in the May primary. the state of Alabama does not belong to one man or to one party. You will still have a choice in November for a new day in Alabama. So resolve, each one of you here tonight, to strike a blow for political freedom in Alabama by electing Elvin McCary your governor in November in the general election. And man, you'll really make history.
Now, here's the thing about my odor of difference from me, if he's black, white, green, or yellow. If he's qualified for that job, he shouldn't have any discrimination out there. We should alleviate all discrimination and let him take that job out there, let him take an examination, and if he passes, pass it. And give him a job, give him a chance. That's right. Black or white now, it doesn't make any difference. And I felt that way all my life. I've never mistreated a person because of his color. And I'm not just saying that to try to mock George Wallace and get the black vote. I won't ever vote that I can get. I need them all, don't you see? And I'll even take some of these Auburn votes and be glad to get them.
So to begin, excuse me, we'll start with State Senator from Huntsville.
Use as an example of the 8 in 10 party.
So I would like to say that I think that this is a goal that everyone who comes to the Public Service Commission would like to see filled, that we would like to eliminate all multi-party telephone systems in the state. But it is something that is very costly. Mostly these 8 and 10 party lines are in rural areas where the population is sparsely, and it's extremely expensive to the companies. We have eliminated a number of 8 and 10 party lines. We're working on it daily, and we have some telephone systems now that has nothing but one party. And this is our party telephone systems as soon as possible.
I have served as Secretary of State for 2 terms, but more than that, I grew up in that office from the time I was a teenager. And I stayed there over the years as stenographer and chief clerk and administrative assistant. Then when my husband was killed in an automobile accident, I started running for the office. I felt of all those who were qualifying to run for the office of Secretary of State, I knew the job better than anyone. I grew up there. Having absorbed a lot of information, I knew what to do when I was elected, and I felt that I had to merit the trust that the people had put in me. And I made a lot of improvements of that office. No improvements had been made since we first became a state back in 1819. They were using the same methods that were used when we first became a state. And I modernized the corporation records, the land records. And I plan to do something now, particularly in relation to the land records, which I...
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We've had so many visitors to come to Alabama from both sides, Republican and Democratic. We have had the President of our nation to come to this state and say that Alabama is the conscience of America. I can remember when some United States senators who are Democrats, who said a few years ago that they didn't agree with a single thing that George Wallace said or stood for, which was the same thing that you stand for, but they have come to Alabama in the last 2 or 3 years, and they have said how great thou art here in Alabama. So your election of George Wallace as governor, as your agent and as your representative for the next 4 years, is going to send a message loud and clear to every politician from the top to the bottom that times are going to change. You're going to send a message to the National Democratic Party that you had better get in the middle and start talking common sense and get away from this exotic new left crowd. You're going to be left behind in 1976. Yes, I've been involved nationally, and I don't apologize for it, even though I've had some critics in my state. I feel that it has been very good, because I said 10 years ago that someday they're going to listen to us. Someday they're going to discover that the people of Alabama are compassionate and that they are good, and that they want all of their citizens to enjoy the American dream, which is a better life and more prosperity and more peace. Yes, I told them that, and I became involved nationally. And the election of me as your governor during the next 4 years is going to put me in the position that we have never had before, in the sense that I'm going to be able to express the viewpoint of the average citizen of this state, which is the viewpoint of the average citizen in the United States. I also want to be in a position as your governor to be able to look them in the eye and tell them that I represent millions of people in this country, from Alabama to California to Michigan, who want some changes brought about in Washington, D.C.
We had for the draft dodgers and the deserters of the Vietnam War. We've had Jane. Irrespective of taxes and Watergate and other issues, I think President Nixon has done one of the best jobs as president of any president in the history of the United States, and far better than most. When he ended the war in Vietnam and brought home our POWs, he earned the undying gratitude of the American people, and if he did nothing more, he has earned my respect and admiration and gratitude. At this time, based on the facts that have been made public, I do not want to see the president impeached, nor do I want to see him resign. It is the American way and our constitutional right to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. The president does not lose this entitlement just because he is president of the United States. It takes 2/3 to convict him as being guilty as charged. That is 67 out of 100.